love and health and happiness and happy thoughts. And that's all it takes. It's not like rocket science. Okay. There you go. Go ahead and sit down. And I'm sure that that corrected it, at least for now. Now, it's possible, again, if there's some deeper imbalance, by tomorrow, typically, it'll be short-circuited again, and then we'll have to dig deeper. But how does it feel now that you're sitting on it again? It doesn't hurt at all? Okay, great. Well, give her a big hand. All right. Let's take a look here. Now, in the male, the counterpart of the uterus is the prostate. The test point is exactly the same. There's no difference. It imbalances the same exact muscle, which is the muscles in the left buttock. And so basically the same thing there. Now, the bladder, of course, acts as a collection reservoir for urine from the kidneys. And it will tend to imbalance muscles in the front side of your lower leg, okay? And also it will tend to imbalance the muscles in the spine that go all the way down the spine. So this can tend to cause trouble kind of anywhere, hip, foot, knee, low back. And then the thymus, let's take a look at this one. The thymus performs important immune functions. It's most important as an infant, where it's proportionately larger. Notice how large it is when you're an infant in this picture. As you get older, you can see that the thymus becomes progressively smaller. Have you heard of T cells, killer T cells, and so on? The T stands for thymus. That's where these cells are produced. And so the thymus will tend to imbalance these muscles, the teres major muscles. The point for it is just 1 inch below the top of the breastbone. Okay? So that's an easy one. And again, all this is in your manual. And here's our page about the usual suspects. Okay? Or the most common organ imbalances that I find being responsible for the following areas of pain. So low back pain typically is these 4. These are the big 4. Okay? Kidney, ileocecal valve, uterus, or adrenals. Go ahead.
What is a tennis elbow?
Tennis elbow is just pain right in here. It's also called lateral epicondylitis. It's pain in this area of the arm. And you see that tennis elbow is often caused by imbalances in the stomach, spleen, or uterus, or pancreas rather. Mid-back pain, liver, spleen and gallbladder. Knee pain, adrenals, gallbladder. Shoulder pain is typically caused by imbalances in the thyroid, gallbladder, or heart. Okay? Let's take a look now at trapped emotions. And we'll start on this now. We're going to be doing more of this tomorrow, but let's go ahead and start it at this point. What is a trapped emotion? Well, as we go through our lives, we're experiencing different emotions all the time, and sometimes we hit peaks of emotion where we're very depressed, or we're very angry, we're very upset about something, or very sad. Basically, we can measure a thought. A thought is an energy, and it can be measured. And an emotion is also a thought that can be measured. Now, when you are feeling a strong emotion, your whole being is essentially vibrating at that particular frequency of that thought, of that emotion, right? So your whole being is vibrating in sync with that energy. Now, sometimes, for some reason that we do not really understand, sometimes that energy can become stuck in the body. It's as if the physical body cannot completely process the energy of that emotion, of that strong of a vibration. And so part of that energy gets stuck in the body, trapped in the body. Literally a trapped emotion. Now, a trapped emotion is a ball of energy. Okay? Now, it ranges in size, usually from about the size of a baseball to the size of a cantaloupe. Wherever a trapped emotion lodges in the body, it will tend to stay. And when a trapped emotion becomes stuck in the body, it will eventually cause symptoms in 2 different ways. Let me give you some examples. First of all, a trapped emotion will tend to affect us mentally because the emotion itself is still in your body. Now, people can have trapped emotions from childhood, even from the womb. Trapped emotions can also even be inherited. For example, I had a patient once who came in who I was working on, and what showed up in the testing was that she had a trapped emotion that needed to be released. And the trapped emotion happened to be resentment. And we traced it back in time because the subconscious mind knows when you experience this intense emotion. It knows exactly when, it knows exactly who was involved, it knows exactly when it occurred and everything. So we were able to trace back in time that this occurred in high school, and that it had to do with a female. It was this woman's resentment for another female. And she said, "Oh, I know exactly what that's about." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Yes, it's about a cheerleader. When I was in high school, there was this particular girl who was a cheerleader, and I just couldn't stand her, and I had so much resentment for her." But she said, "You know, it's funny because I'm 40-some years, 42 years old now, but I still have the same feeling." She said, "When I think of that girl, even though high school was a long time ago now, I can still feel the resentment welling up inside of me. It's still there." That's because of a trapped emotion. See, that's how trapped emotions affect us. And so we traced out this trapped emotion, figured out where, what was going on with it. We released it, and it was gone. And so a couple of days later, she came back into the office, and she said to me, she said, "You know, Doc, it's really interesting. I think that the trapped emotion work that you're doing really works," because she said, I was in a conversation with a friend of mine the other night, a friend from high school, and that cheerleader's name came up. And for the first time since high school, I felt nothing. No resentment came up, nothing. This is an example, you see, of how a trapped emotional energy in our body will tend to make us resonate with it. Now, what is resonance? Well, if you take a tuning fork, in my office I have a couple of tuning forks, and if I take a tuning fork and I hit that tuning fork, if there are other tuning forks in the room that are designed to vibrate at the same frequency, some tuning forks put out a high pitch and some put out a low pitch. If you hit a tuning fork and it's vibrating and it's humming, right? If there are other tuning forks in the room that are designed to match that same frequency, they will start humming as well, all right? Resonance is what that's about, you see. And we will resonate with this emotion. You see, we have these bodies, and our bodies are really made of nothing but pure energy. A trapped emotion is an extraneous energy. It's a negative energy. It's bad. It's anger, frustration, resentment, depression, whatever you want. It's there, stuck, lodged, trapped in our physical body. And when we have these things, our physical body will tend to fall into resonance with those emotions. Let me give you another example of this. I had a patient once who came in. She was about 72 years old. And I started working. It was her very first visit. And as I'm starting to ask her body questions and test her and see what her body needs, the first thing that shows up is she has a trapped emotion that needs to be released. This is the very first thing that comes up, right? So I said, okay, fine. So we started testing to see what this emotion was. We asked what the emotion was, and we have a list of emotions, and the emotion that came up was sadness. And so I said, okay, it's sadness. That's what the emotion is. Let's see when it occurred. When did this get stuck in your body? When did you feel this emotion of sadness so strongly that part of it got stuck inside of you? When was this? And it went back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. It went back to 1963. And I thought to myself, 1963, what happened in 1963? JFK, right? And so I've seen this before a few times, so I thought, maybe it was about JFK. And so I tested her, and the moment that I tested her and mentioned that, and we found that it was JFK, she burst into tears. Now, this is a woman who's 72 years old. This is a long time ago. she bursts into tears. And she's crying. And she's saying, oh yes, that affected me so deeply. And then when JFK Jr.'s son, John Kennedy Jr., died in the plane crash, she said, it all came back again. And she said, for days, all she could do was weep. Think about that. This was not a woman who was suffering from depression or anything. This was just the effect of this trapped emotion. Here's a perfect example, you see, of how a trapped emotion will make you resonate with it, see. In her body, when John F. Kennedy was killed, she was overwhelmed with sadness. Part of that energy got stuck in her body.